beautiful sunny day. It's a Sunday, and today I've come to not West Chiltington, which is very near to me in West Sussex, but East Chiltington in East Sussex. And I wanted to come and have a look at the church. The churchyard is immediately of great interest to me because it is so filled with, at the moment, hundreds and hundreds of ox-eyed daisies, but also a whole host of other wild flowers and wild species, which probably, given that this is surrounded by farmland, is probably quite a rare oasis of different plants, seeing as the farmland these days is blighted with all the modern chemicals and stuff, which gets rid of a lot of the more traditional ancient wildflowers. And this lovely 13th century church here, buried in the middle of nowhere, is just a beautiful little heritage site that's worth looking at. I think we're so lucky down here in Sussex. I think we're lucky as a country, really, that we have these wonderful churches, these historic buildings that have been here for hundreds of years and have served communities through all sorts of different time periods and all sorts of different troubles, from invasions, of course, when the Normans came in and changed the system, and of course internal troubles like the English Civil War. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about this particular church, but I saw it on the map and thought, well, I want to get into more of East Sussex and explore some of these tiny little rural places, and it seems that East Sussex is a lot more rural and undeveloped, although that seems to be changing too, than West Sussex. But let's have a look around and just see what's here. I was hoping to take a little looped walk, which I may come back and do on another occasion. The parking around here is incredibly restricted, so I'm not going to leave my van just in case people do need to come here because it is a Sunday. There seems to be two lots of churchyards here. The main churchyard, which is surrounded by this lovely flint wall, which, looking at it, is probably, I would imagine, from the Victorian period actually, although it may have been something here earlier. And then in a field to the north there is another churchyard, which I imagine has more modern, more recent graves. Here we've got all these graves which have just been allowed to obviously remain, but allowed the grasses and the wild flowers to just grow up among them. I imagine they probably come and perhaps trim it or cut it once a year, and then I guess that would allow growth to come back. It's very beautiful, and imagine, of course, if you were to sit here very still, you probably not only see amazing insects, but also you probably see some wildlife, some mammals. There's something up there, a crow or something, I just keep hearing, making deep, throaty noises beyond me. But yeah, what an amazing place, and so quiet, and as I said before, just not very built up, so that you can come and just be at peace. And I think in this very busy world we need more of that. The wall along here is quite rough. Stones, some sort of sandstone, I think, and local stone, no doubt, and then infilled with some sort of lime cement. occasionally there's bits of brick in here with lichen, and I love the way that lichen really ages and brings out, as it ages rather, it brings out the colour, and it just looks so much more aesthetic and right in the landscape when you've got aged stonework. I'm not sure if it was all built in one, probably just the nave initially, and then the chancel going to the east, and then you've got the tower on the end. The towers were usually, bell towers were usually a later addition, but it depends on any renovation and I guess how much has been rebuilt, because obviously sometimes a tower can be attached much later, but this looks pretty much as if it was all built and barely changed over the years. And I always love coming across those gems, downland gems, because we are quite close to the downs. It's about 1.5 miles, I suppose, to the south from where we are. You've got Street close by, Burgess Hill. What other places have we got? We've got Ditchling. It's in that sort of bracket. Behind me here, on the west end of the tower, is this really amazing window. You don't often see an exposed window, at least I'm beginning to think that you don't often see it. Maybe I'm confused, but beautiful window in the west tower here with lots of diamond-shaped stained glass, which I really like. I imagine that really helps to bring in a bit of light, although adjacent to me is a hedge, so there's not a lot of light coming in. And also, up the face are holes, which I think must have been made by the scaffold years and years ago, the sort of wooden, probably oak scaffold that was put up when this was built, and the holes where the scaffold was in have been left because they just didn't fill them in. I guess they took the beams out, and that was that. Absolutely stunning to be able to see them. There's 4 of them on each side, so yeah, interesting. And then on the side you've got the coin stones here, which are probably imported in, I don't know, sandstones. They're quite rough and big. When I say imported in, I mean, well, maybe they are local. I haven't done the research, so I don't always know, but sometimes you get some of these stones coming in from overseas, but I think these are probably just local sandstone. They don't look terribly special. But of course I may be wrong, as I often am. There's a lovely porch here to go in with a beautiful wooden door. Of course, porches were usually added much later to a church. So you started with the nave, which was a all-encompassing, basically box really, and then you had the chancel, which was extruded to the east, and then the tower and the porch on the south or north side, depending on. This is a very beautiful one. But now that I've had time to have a look at the church in more detail and walk around, you can see that the windows are usually the giveaway on the age of the church or what's been happened to the church, because windows are often replaced, mainly to let in more light, because earlier churches with the thicker walls had much smaller windows in the Norman times. And then as you get further to more recent times, you've got these, again, leaded diamond-shaped windows, which suggests possibly 18th century, something like that, I'm imagining. And then, of course, you've got the stained glass windows, which you get more of them, I think, towards the chancel end. So that's interesting. I've just met the church warden, actually, coming into the church just now. And I asked if it's okay to take pictures. She said, that's absolutely fine. I also said, is there a service today? I didn't want to interrupt. She said, no, sadly, they don't have services. It's usually mainly weddings and things. And they had a wedding here the other day, I think. What a beautiful setting for a wedding with all those wild flowers outside. You can imagine the photographs being particularly just wonderful, especially if it was a nice day. It's part of a group of churches, I think, that she called In God's Acre, which is a lovely name. And I guess it's a group of people, I think, who look after the church, presumably within an acre of the area. But now, from what I understand, is the church is being used mainly for festivals and high days, that sort of thing. So it's good that it's still being used. There's not a lot of parking here. I don't know what they do when they have weddings and guests arrive. I presume that perhaps one of the farmers opens up a field so that they can park their cars. But also, coming in, you suddenly realise just how Victorianised the church has been. And I asked, is it 13th century? And she very kindly said, yes, it was. But, of course, instantly you see the differences. So I was wrong when I said about the 18th century. I was about 100 years out, I think. It's difficult to completely know because many churches have been changed over, 200 sort of times. Not 200 times, I mean every 200 years, there's been changes as the fabric of the church falls to bits. So it's very difficult. Some churches are changed a lot. Some are left from when perhaps the Normans have built them, and then it's just left and left and left until the Victorians come in and woomph, do it. So every church has a unique past, and it would be interesting to know what had been taken out and got rid of and thought unnecessary, and what, I guess we can see what changes there are, probably all the wooden panelling and things like that. And obviously the newer arch, there's a great big chancel arch here. The pews look pretty new, to be honest. Haven't looked at the bell area. But that's very nice, and the windows and the light, the leaded diamond-shaped lights, as I mentioned before. So that's one of the things I love about coming into a church, is that it is a history lesson, and you don't need to know that much about it to start thinking and speculating about it. If you know everything about it from the beginning, where's the discovery? That's what I always think. So it's fun, I might come in with a supposition, and then you discover other things, especially if you meet somebody like the church warden. Fantastic. There's a beam up there with, I think, initials, but also a date, which says 1669. Well, that's 17th century, isn't it? Almost out of sight, mainly because the branches are so low and you're just almost ignoring the fact there is a very ancient yew tree here with quite a large girth, beautiful looking structure of the bark on the outside. I don't know how old it is, but again, several hundred years old, and you could easily miss it. I mean, I almost missed it because I just thought, oh yes, it's a big growth of green, but of course I'm looking for a yew tree in a churchyard, and here it is. It's just, it's amazing, it really is. You can absolutely see why wedding parties would want to come here and have their photographs taken, as well as the ceremony, of course. But you can imagine just here on the green with the church behind and all the beautiful wildflowers, the oxeye daisies in particular. What an amazing picture that would make. So yeah, and I've enjoyed coming here. It's been an absolute thrill to come around and explore a rural church in the middle of absolutely nowhere, really, in East Sussex. A very beautiful place. As I say, there's limited parking, and it's really only for the church, so don't leave your vehicle there wandering off on a footpath, because then other people can't take advantage of visiting the church if you do come. But what a lovely place to have a little quiet moment and exploration, and to think about perhaps the rural labourers who would have visited the church on a Sunday to listen to the priest, who would have, I guess, given them more reasons to go and work hard and have a good life, and have a moment's thought yourself. What a brilliant thing. So there we are. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, become a patron and support what I do. A little bit of help really helps to put the diesel in the vehicle and get me to more of these places. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye for now.